Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Heroes of the Storm. It is the Europe Summer Regionals UK, the first chance these teams have had to qualify for the Global Championship in the summer, which is held at DreamHack Summer. That #1 spot is what they're all chasing right now. We have just one spot remaining in the semi-finals. 3 teams already there, and our last game of the day. It couldn't have been set up any better, could it? Have we got some Hollywood scriptwriters here? I wonder. It is the game that everyone wanted earlier on. We're going to get it again. NaVi versus Fnatic. So let's head back downstairs to our expert panel and see what they make of the game of hype.
Hey, Red Eye, thank you very much. Time for round 2 between Fnatic and NaVi. And for those of you who have missed the first best of 3 series, we're just going to go quickly over what happened there. Team Fnatic, they played a pretty good game. They've had a very different approach to or with a team comp than NaVi. They were all about playing the map and disengaging rather than team fighting all the time.
Yep, that is what we saw in the first series, and they played that comp, but the thing is they played that comp really aggressively, and it did work out for them. It was a kind of composition you look at it and you go, you should not have 5 kills at this stage in the game, but it worked for them, but they put themselves in situations where they could have lost a couple times.
Yeah, Grubby, anything that you remember pretty well from this first best of 3?
Well, I'm looking at the draft again. Fnatic won 2-0, right, against NaVi. And in both games, they had a global presence hero, either Dahaka or Falstad. This one stands out as being able to control the game really well on maps like Blackheart Bay and Sky Temple. Interestingly also is that Blackheart Bay actually got played, which was picked by NaVi.
Yeah.
So if anything, if they're going through this and they want to see if maybe there's something they can change about the dynamic, it's not a popular map pick, maybe they will go for something a bit more standard, possibly.
Yeah, and it is really quite fascinating to see that Fnatic manages to get good results with team comps that should not work this way. You mentioned, Tetra, that they played very aggressively and got good results, although their team comp was all about disengaging. So NaVi, they might want to think about these past games and maybe adjust their strategy accordingly. What could they do?
Maybe they also... NaVi's comps seem to be fairly control-y, like separating out people with Chen, for example, which we did see Fnatic ban because it is very scary to deal with. So if they want to stick with that kind of style, they could absolutely, but Fnatic, no matter what the composition, seem to play quite aggressively. So Fnatic, NaVi need to take a comp that no matter what Fnatic pick, they need to be able to win team fights as well, which is an issue against Fnatic.
I also think there's not too much in the formula that NaVi really needs to fix. Let's not forget that on Blackheart Bay, NaVi had a 2% core attempt.
Yeah.
Right?
No, it was very. It was getting
not
close
2%,
to that.
Yeah, it was
20%.
yeah, 26 or something. Yeah. That, I mean, anyway, that was a really close game. Quacknix actually managed to save the core there, even though it looked like he was going to trade cores. And with his Gust and with Breeze's Johanna, they were able to save the core together. That was the one, 26%. So when you have a game like that, you don't really need to change the formula. You just need this tiny thing to go slightly better, a little bit more luck, and suddenly it would be a 1-1, and all the options in the world would still be there to close it out in the tiebreaker.
Yeah, so maybe just a little bit more preciseness when it comes to closing out the games, maybe choose a better moment. Tetra, is that something that can be fixed within such a short period of time?
Absolutely. Just working with the team in terms of when you should go for the core, just talking it out with each other, where to position yourselves as well when you go for core. Because like you said, Johanna was able to drop some really good blinds. You actually saw the Mighty Gust able to hit a lot of heroes, pushing them into keep range, basically. The keep was already slowing Thrall at that time. So just where to position when you go all in, when to do it, is easily something you can cover quite just before the match.
Yeah, definitely something to look at the replay as well. You know, you always want to make sure, like, if some team member was a little bit too late indeed, or if some call wasn't made right, you have the replays to analyze that. And I think it gets more and more important as you progress in a tournament to sort of really work on your own weaknesses, Grubby, right?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, usually you will see growth from the team that ends up winning it. Almost never you will win it just by the shape that you have when you're starting. It's a very important element of every tournament and your tournament life to adapt to your own place and your opponent's place and to kind of become a better you and evolve from the matches. So here we will see if NaVi can withstand that kind of challenge and grow and evolve.
That's actually something that we also heard yesterday from Team Liquid's side. I think it was BKB who mentioned that they've learned so much from the defeat against My Insanity that it'll actually increase their chances of winning the whole thing rather than if they had won a 2-1 or something like that, because learning from your own crucial mistakes makes you a lot stronger.
Yeah, it's the mark of a good team. You learn from losing all the time. I believe back in the StarCraft days, White Ra, I think, said it best, which is you should always learn from your defeats. If you win, you don't learn a huge amount, but if you lose, then you know what you did wrong. More GG, more skill.
Yeah, it's the it's the ego of mankind that if you win, it's very easy to think that therefore you had less flaws than in a game that you would lose. So you're undeniably presented with the fact that you're not up to scratch when you lost. So it is much easier to actually accept the very element that that you do need to improve, that you did make mistakes.
Something to remember for all of you guys out there who play Hero League or Team League. Always learn from your mistakes and try to improve and work on yourselves too.
I think we just made the world a better place, Kendrick.
Yes, we did!
This Philosophy Cast is brought to you by Blizzard.
All right, so let's actually get a little bit more into the game and talk about potential strategies for NaVi, especially because I don't think Fnatic is under a lot of pressure here. They do have what it takes to win games, and but NaVi, on the other hand, they need to sort of come up with a strategy. I'm not sure if they want to go for the same thing again that they used against their previous opponents.
Well, we've had double Zeratul bans this tournament so far. One of them was against NaVi at least, and then we've had 2 Zeratul picks, which worked it worked once and it didn't work once. Zeratul and Chen are heroes that have barely gotten banned at all, except against NaVi. So we do have a certain interaction here of NaVi having certain heroes rather well mastered by by players like Eternal and Alex the Prodigy, respectively, that it kind of complicates the draft and makes it feel very different from yesterday's Group A drafts.
And the question is, guys, will history repeat itself? Because I just got word that the first battleground in this best of 3 will be Sky Temple once more, just like it was in the first best of 3.
Yeah, same first map again. We saw Illidan and Sonya bans coming out in the draft of the second match today, which was earlier on. And then we saw a high prioritization by both teams of Falstad, Liming, and Dahaka. They actually switched places once. One time it was on Sky Temple, NaVi took Falstad, and then it was Liming Dahaka for Fnatic. And then it was a complete flip on the next one. Same 3 heroes prioritized.
Yeah.
The global control on Sky Temple especially is huge because there's going to be so many opportunities where teams are fighting over temples, and that's what we ended up seeing in the game, where basically everyone was bot lane, for example. Falstad and Dahaka sit up in the top lane, and then they will both come down sort of simultaneously to try and help their team in the fight at about the same time.
Exactly.
And Falstad, of course, being a very, very important hero on Sky Temple, because not only does he provide potential countermeasures to other global heroes like Dahaka, but he's also ever so good at defending the boss on Sky Temple. Any other heroes that you find particularly strong on this battleground?
Yeah, Falstad, Dahaka, but as they did get picked, that meant that there were other heroes that were even more valuable to be banned away. Illidan was one of them. He didn't pass both of the first ban phase. And that's because Sky Temple is a rather large map. And as a friend told, that Illidan, when you are playing on a big map and you are slightly falling behind, he will chase you to the edge of hell and back again, because that map is so big it's hard to get away back to safety. And on Sky Temple, with the guaranteed damage from the lasers, you quickly start losing forts and protective line.
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the other heroes that we have seen Fnatic run on this map, the Murky. They have brought him out on this map especially, so it is very interesting to see if they'll bring it out possibly.
Yeah, so without further ado, guys, let's actually move on to the drafting screen. First pick and first ban are now going to happen, and we see that NaVi indeed has the first choice. So where are they going to ban away? Is it going to be the Illidan? Is it going to be a KT, a Kel'Thas, who has also seen a lot of priority?
So on the first ban, we have seen a Zeratul and a Sonya ban yesterday. And it is once again a Sonya ban on the first one, the same one as yesterday. And if we follow suit, it will be an Illidan ban now.
Oh!
Yay! Let's see how far does it go? How far does it go? What's next?
Can you maybe just read off from your notes, Grubby, and
Can you maybe put your shoe on your head to prove it's not pre-recorded? We are live, people.
So if everything follows suit,
there's the Falstad.
There's the Falstad.
Dahaka Liming.
Dahaka
Liming.
Dahaka definitely. Liming still probably quite likely unless they want to pick a Kel'Thas over it maybe.
We did just mention that certain formulas don't need to necessarily be changed.
Yeah, pretty much.
But I'm not sure I was envisioning it to go this far.
There is a big question mark in terms of NaVi, in my opinion, though. They are running potentially into the same trap that they did in the Series 1.
Zeratul Merlin, same picks as earlier today.
Yeah, well, to be fair, they played very well in the earlier series. They just made a couple mistakes here and there, and Grubby said it earlier. Some formulas might not need to be changed. Na'Vi feel confident in the strategy. The Chen ban once again from Fnatic. That is the same as last time, I
Combo
believe.
breaker.
Oh, is it not? What was
No,
last
that was
time?
the second map. It was Kael'thas. So
Okay.
the next was ETC coming out of NaVi.
The Uther ban. We've lost it. We made it
Combo
so
breaker.
far.
At least we still have proof that the stream is live.
No high score.
It's not a rerun, guys. Don't panic. But yeah, I think it really shows that NaVi is very comfortable with their comp itself. They just need to execute it better.
Yeah. And of course, with these bans, it does look a little bit different than before. We did have Fnatic having that Uther. In this very pick phase, Uther was picked up yesterday together with Johanna, and so now it's going to be not Uther but Rhaegar. And if Johanna comes out, it's going to be super similar.
Yeah, that Johanna would still be very solid for them. But remember, Kael'thas has just been left open, and you can pick Kael'thas with more of a single-target auto-attack style build with the Gravity Crush, and still have the Leeming alongside it, and it still does work out.
Yeah, also something to mention is, of course, that Kael'thas is ever so deadly in those choke points around the temple, and especially the bottom temple is a very crucial one because there are barely any escape routes or paths. So once you're trapped in there and the Phoenix is zoning you out, you're probably going to die.
Zagara will get picked up. Keep in mind that all these characters, Zagara, Kael'thas, have no escape if they get gusted in a certain position, and then the rest of the team gets Void Prisoned. They don't have Bolt of the Storm. Zagara gets it eventually at level 20, but Kael'thas could no longer. So this seems slightly safer for the late game. She has a panic escape button.
Yeah, but she needs to live until then.
Yeah.
And that is going to be the issue. She does have that Dahaka, and they will probably pick up another warrior as their last pick, and they do have that wonderful Rhaegar, which is still very solid, especially with Uther already being removed.
Yeah, Dahaka usually needs a tank beside him so he can actually just pick isolation and is not forced into adaptation. Now Thrall being picked.
They still
for
needed a
NaVi.
strong solo laner against
Double
Zagara.
melee assassin.
Thrall, yeah, sure, but it's like, who else are you going to take? Sonya is gone, Chen is gone, that means it had to be Thrall.
Yeah, if you want someone who can lane against it, Zul would have just been harassed out of lane. You wouldn't have been able to deal with it very well, so
Not as
the
good of
Thrall
an
is
escape.
very solid. Exactly, so the Thrall works perfectly for them. And last pick, they need their support. Question is, which one do they want?
Well, he needs cleanse because of the Haka, I
Yep,
would say. So Kharazim is
Kharazim.
possible. He's
Lily
the most
Lily
apparent.
Herbal Cleanse.
But Mouth works out great with Zeratul.
Very
if you
true.
can VP, you don't even have to one bar. You
yes.
just put
Yeah,
an
just-
Entangle under.
Yeah, works out really, really well, and obviously the mana would be nice for Falstad, but it is going to be Kharazim that they go for. Probably the more secure one,
Yes.
considering they are against Dahaka, that Palm saving people's lives.
And this is not a Mouth comp. There's not like a bunch of backliners who
Yeah.
can benefit from Tranquility.
Yeah. Also, what we have to say is that Grunk Paquete feels very comfortable on Kharazim. He has played that hero extensively, and he also plays him very, very well. I would almost go as far as saying that he, after Bakery, he's probably one of the most proficient players on that hero. Now, as we mentioned, we still need a warrior. ETC is open.
Could be Johanna. ETC suffers from doing a mosh pit where his whole ally team is in a Void Prison, and there's also Gust of Wind to interrupt it.
True.
Could take a stage dive though. We've seen it before. It's a very
Sure.
large map, allows him to add even more global pressure to the map. But I think I'd feel more comfortable with like a Johanna, like you said, or maybe even a Diablo.
Diablo would definitely be super special. I think Johanna's the solid pick here, and everything else will surprise. ETC, not a huge surprise, but a bit different than they did yesterday. So
Yeah.
will it be stage dive? You can, of course, still mosh pit if you save it for a bit
Like,
later.
Interruptions, Mighty Gust, the stuns from Muradin,
Yeah.
the Sundering, those are the ways they could interrupt it, but if they can get most of those people, and like you said, the other issue is Void Prism the rest of the team while ETC's mosh pitting, he's going to get in trouble.
That's what happens in Hero League, generally.
We should also not forget the potential global mobility and synergy coming in from Dahaka, brush stalking in, providing vision, and then ETC landing his stage dive a little bit more easily. So I think there's definitely room for a good synergy in the composition that Fnatic chose.
Yep.
Now, of course, there's always an inherent value of mosh pit even when you don't use it, because at least one person needs to either save their heroic or their stun. So just by having mosh pit, you just delete one of your opponent's basic abilities.
And we've seen yesterday what BKB did with that tour bus. Never underestimate that.
And even at level 20, like you said, the tour bus is strong, but also if you are feeling a little bit behind, we have seen teams go a bit all in and take the death metal and just like, well, best chance EDC's getting focused down anyway, let's at least get something out of it.
Could see that at the boss pit.
We did see that at the boss pit. It
capture
was so
point.
cool.
Yeah.
So if you take a quick second look on both of those compositions, guys, who would you actually give the advantage to? Which team comp do you like a little bit more personally? Tetcher, what do you think?
I quite like Fnatic's. Dahaka, very, very strong. They have two very solid warriors. I think either Heroic is going to work in the situation for ETC especially. He can use the stage dive, he can use the mosh pit, even if it's just a fear factor. And they have so much setup for everything. The Zagara, the Maw, they have damage from Li Ming, and the solid Rhaegar just in general is good for them.
Yeah, most of the heroes on Team NaVi have trouble effectively clearing creep. Thrall would need to use a very rare Feral Spirit. Karazim can't do it at all. Murden can do it pretty okay with Thunderclap. Zeratul can cleave it, but he would reveal his position. And Falstad would have to waste his Hammerang on it, which if he goes Mage build, is going to be on cooldown when he would normally like to stack it on an enemy hero. So I feel like vision is going to play a very big role in this game. Fnatic definitely having more vision. But you can never say that someone won the draft when the opponent team has Zeratul.
Yes,
it all comes down to execution. Zeratul is the kind of min-max hero where if you play well with him and around him, he can break all the rules in the game thanks to Void Prison.
And I think that is a very nice thing to say there, Grubby, because it is really in Navi's hands. They're not dependent on the enemy team making mistakes. They have that Zeratul, they have the setup potentially, so if they work on their execution, they can definitely make it happen by themselves.
Yep, and they have the way to cancel Navi's execution as well. We already mentioned that Void Prison, but they also have Gust. They have Palm to try and save themselves in that scenario. They have Sundering. They have so much disengage, but also can be used for engage. They can control a lot of when these fights happen. It's just a question of how well Fnatic can play around those.
Yeah, so we have the basically the team fight control is on Navi's side. They have more disengage and control, but Fnatic has better
actual fighting tools,
yeah,
I'd say.
And they have better wave clear. They have a bit better vision tools.
Look at
so
that, by the way.
I feel
Sorry
like
to interrupt you.
Oh,
Look at
nice.
that. Teamwork and team spirit at its finest.
Yeah, wait for the shout. It'll be coming.
By the way, I think we lost our legendary Fnatic fan in the first series, right? We haven't seen him anymore.
Oh, he's
Yeah.
there.
He's probably there. There it is.
Nice. We've been waiting for that, the war shout. Now, as both teams are approaching their PCs, Navi not really that impressed, are they?
No.
Bit of Ellie giggle there from them.
Yeah, and as both teams are getting ready, we can maybe have a final verdict on that first battleground here on Sky Temple, and maybe even a sort of a little bit of a projection on the entire series, guys.
I like Fnatic's draft. They have more vision, which makes the game feel really easy to play out. So I do like Fnatic's position a little bit better here. I feel like effortlessly, if both teams play casually and at high form, but not completely out of this world, I think Fnatic wins it with less effort.
Yeah.
But I agree with that, and I also agree with the points we made earlier, where if Na'Vi can land their abilities, the Void Prism, Mighty Gust, any of the Sundering, any of those can be absolute game changers if they're landed correctly in a fight. So casually, very much Fnatic's comp is strong, but if Na'Vi plays this spot on and are able to control when the fight happens and only take the fights that are beneficial to them, they have a good chance. And Falstad, he will miss out on a bit of stacking, but he is potential wave clear and he is XP soak against Dahaka, so they're not going to miss out on too much there.
Yeah.
Plus with Zeratul, Na'Vi has 2 implied global presences. You've got Falstad, who definitely is, and Zeratul, if you don't know where he is. So any 1v1 can turn into a 3v2 if the Hacker comes to help.
Yeah, this is going to be very interesting for the Zeratul. Basically, both teams are going to be avoiding bushes just most of the game.
Don't get too close to the vision that you can't see.
Look under every bed, there could be a ghost. So
Right. So, yeah, we've mentioned that. Dahaka is such a cool hero. And I remember back in the days when he was first released, there were many players, I'm not sure if you guys were among them, but who weren't really convinced of his capabilities. There were quite a few players who kind of underestimated them.
yeah, it's easy to underestimate a global character. I estimated Dahaka maybe to be tier 3, tier 4, which means situationally useful. It definitely seems like he is way more useful than that, and I was wrong, because global presence with the wave clear talents remain extremely valuable and viable.
He is exceptionally strong there. That is the first thing that a lot of people notice when they saw him. It is the global presence, and the wave clear is very strong. But most people were looking at the heroics, where is isolation reliable enough? Adaptation, it basically means, hi, I'm a tank. Don't focus me.
Yeah.
Doesn't really work, so people are looking at it for tank potential. But he has shone, basically, in all of those factors. He's able to survive well with the Essence. The silence, the isolation is working very well for him. And everyone was right in the fact that adaptation does not really work.
Yeah. Not yet, anyway.
Not yet.
It also
One
seemed
day.
like there was only one talent build available for him, but already every tier has had about 2 talents being used at the pro level. We see either the longer drag at 16 and 7, or we see some kind of symbiosis talents. So yeah, there are a number of different talents also at 1 and 4 being used.
Yep, on level 1, the extra wave clear or the increased speed boost to just lock people down even quicker has got a huge amount of variety.
Yeah, and I'm sorry to inform you guys that there are some minor technical difficulties here on the side of NaVi. So we're just going to move on to a short 2-minute break, and after that we're going to be ready for the game on Sky Temple between NaVi and Fnatic. Stay tuned, guys.
I'm not really feeling.
StarCraft 2. For a limited time, buy Legacy of the Void and get Heart of the Swarm free. No previous expansions required.
You know, I've been in more scrapes and adventures than I can count. That being said, I've never seen anything like this.
Hail, hero!
Is that a frog in a bubble? Oh gosh, they are so cute. Well then, there's so many friendly people here. Coming through. Love the hair.
Oh, the cavalry's here!
This place is awesome! I found some Vikings! Wow, you're big! The name's Tracer, and the Nexus could always use more heroes. Ah! Not funny!
My brothers say I spend too much time in the forge. They think it ain't befitting a king. Ha! You don't forge legendary weapons like mine while sitting on a throne. The lands of Cosmodan are mine. And when I bring the pain, lads, it's hammer time!
All right, everybody, we're about to begin our second game of the series. The first game of the series, excuse me, we're not that far yet. So Fnatic and NaVi, certainly a lot of pressure on their shoulders right now because they really need to make it happen. A victory in the whole series means, of course, that they're going to advance to the semifinals. It's a big step towards the big prize money and rank 1. Of course, you want to crown yourself the European champion. You want to snatch that title away from Team Dignitas, who had it in the spring championship. It's going to be interesting to see whether Fnatic has what it takes to pull it off again, because I think NaVi, they certainly have tanked a lot of confidence, a lot of positivity after their win against the Sandwich Monkeys.
Yeah, definitely. They have momentum on their side, like we were talking about earlier. So they're going to be feeling comfortable, whereas Fnatic have just come off of a loss. But you have to remember the previous series, how that went, especially in the last game.
Certainly won't be as easy this time, right, Garvey?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure. It could be, I mean, in theory, it could be even easier. I mean, we don't know for sure. Fnatic looked pretty good in the first series. They were a bit wobbly in the second game, but it really impressed me that they finally made the right decision in defending their core, and it worked out.
Yeah.
It was close, though. It was almost a 1-1, and then you never know what would have happened. We see the continuance here.
And I think we talked about a very interesting part of NaVi's composition. We mentioned that it's all on their shoulders to sort of make it work. And we were a little bit like, do they have enough follow-up for Zeratul Void Prism? So elaborate more thoughts on that and how they want to execute their team fights.
Well, Grab brought up a good point in the fact that there isn't a huge amount of ways for them to follow up on the Void Prism. Like we suggested, using the Sundering as the follow-up for Void Prism, but it doesn't need a setup, like Robbie said perfectly.
So then Tetcher said probably the way it works out, you open up with the Sundering if you know, obviously if the fight starts that way, and then you VP half the team, who are still stunned when they come out of it, deal with the first half, and then go to the second half. So that's one way it could work out, if you know, if the stars align correctly.
Yeah. And it really shows you how you can sort of work around or how heroic abilities work, because it doesn't always have to be the wombo combo stuff, because it's very easy to miss. Sometimes you actually want to use your heroic abilities in a different way. You want to use them separately, you want to set it up nicely, and then win the team fight from that.
Yeah, there's also the potential for the good old classic one of Void Prism and then Mighty Gust everyone who isn't Void Prismed, and then cancel the VP and kill the person inside it and run it that way. It's a good old classic build that we haven't actually seen in a while. We've sort of seen attempts at it, but it usually ends up with Mighty Gust being saved for disengage.
And then there's some other classics like, oh my god, I'm about to die, and I Void Prison and I run away with Zeratul. Oh, Falstad's about to die, I cast, I run away. Those are the panic buttons.
Right. You have waited long enough, and so have the Casus guys. So without further ado, let's throw it over to Kaldor. And for the very first time at the Casus desk, Dr. Dread himself.
NaVi versus Fnatic, boys. The game is going to start soon, and we are excited. It's the second time that the teams face each other, and it's the first time that we actually have you on the commentating desk.
It is the first time, and it's going to be an interesting matchup. It's kind of the mirror match, or not so much a mirror match, but a rematch here for NaVi. Yeah. Do they have what it takes to pull out the win here against Fnatic?
It's actually going to be incredibly interesting, because a lot of teams and a lot of players have been talking about how, of course, for Fnatic, it's maybe a bit tricky coming off a loss and just thinking there that they are a bit on tilt. But actually, it's quite the opposite. I talked to them right after the game that they played, that they lost against Dignitas, and they were actually very calm and collected, talked a bit about the problems that they had during the series, where their biggest disadvantage was, were even putting up a few other points and said, hey, we have already won against NaVi once. We just sit down now, we have a break, we take the time, we talk about the games, we have a look at the videos, and then we're going to just like take NaVi down once again. And with that attitude, I mean, that is exactly what you need here now.
I think when you sit in a situation to where your win against NaVi was so convincing, and it doesn't seem like NaVi's made any adjustments in their final drafts in between their games, that I would have the exact same mentality. I think it's just you come in, you do the exact same thing, which oddly enough, these drafts are almost identical to the first series that we saw between these two teams. So, and you just do your thing, and then you can pull out the win. You expect it as you should. So I definitely think that Fnatic is, in my opinion, the favorite when it comes to this series. They were one of my favorites actually coming into this group, so I'm excited to see how well they've been able to put up against NaVi.
Yeah, I actually totally agree with you here. I feel that especially having DreamHack again on the map with the performance that we saw from Ethereal Angel on the hero in the first place, that was pretty impressive on Sky Temple. It was also very decent on Curse, which then in the end, well, they kind of really worked hard to throw.
Yeah, they two bosses that were highly contested from both teams, both going in the favor of Dignitas, was a struggle. But I do agree with you. In the first game that we saw Ethereal Angel on the DreamHack, he was very influential for his team, securing about 5 to 6 kills in the early game. And it felt he looked very comfortable, but that makes a lot of sense considering that he came from originally he was a tank player. So seeing him on that kind of off-tank role, I mean, he kind of just showed why. He was very, very impressive on it.
In this game now in particular, we have once again for Fnatic a bit of a theme drafting against NaVi, picking up that Li Ming for Quacknix, and actually like taking it also away from, of course, in this case, Sport Billy, who really loves to play the hero. Do you feel that it's only because they personally favor Li Ming that highly, or do you really think that it's also one of the aspects that they say, our opponent loves to draft Li Ming, they have a very good Li Ming player, let's just like catch 2 birds with one stone here and pick it away from them as well?
I think when it comes to this draft specifically, it's probably not as much of a deny. I feel like if they were the team that, if they lose a game, for instance, and they adjust their draft very heavily, I think that would be a response as to what they thought the problem was. But like I said, when they've already had very good success against NaVi, I don't feel like they're going to be too worried about like, oh man, we can't let them have this because, I mean, last time you let them have it and you just convincingly won.
It's actually one of the things where we also see Zeratul, for example, again. It's a hero that was banned out in several series already today, and we've seen it against Fnatic, and they didn't really have any problems with him. Eternal wasn't really too happy about those plays. When he talked about the series and afterwards, he said, like, yeah, we played really bad. Our communication was not where it's supposed to be. That was not the series that we were really hoping to show our fans and the audience. So we are going to have to work hard to make up for these mistakes, and I feel that gives him a chance now to redeem himself on one of his favorite heroes.
Yeah, and I think that's something that if NaVi's going to have any kind of success here, I think is absolutely crucial. His role here, we did see in the last series that they paired it with a Chen getting heavy isolation, and then you use the Void Prison separately. But it felt like in the last series, or excuse me, in the first series where we saw Eternal on the Zeratul, that he had very, very little impact on the game. And so now that he doesn't have any like really heavy synergies to be working with directly in this game, if he's unimpactful again, I fear the success of NaVi.
Yeah, they have to be really careful here. Also going to be a big part, of course, that Void Prisoner on Zeratul is something that we're going to watch out for. False with the potential disengage here, of course, as well in his Mighty Gust. Game is loading up, ladies and gentlemen. We have Sky Temple, and starting to the left, it is Fnatic, of course, with the Schwimpy on Zagara. We have Ethereal Angel on Dehaka once more. Quacknix, as already mentioned, is jumping on Liming here, and we're seeing Breeze playing the frontline again, this time on ETC, whereas Maxi Style is playing Rhaegar.
And then for NaVi, we are going to see Zarmi is going to be playing the Thrall. Alex, the Pro G, is going to be on the Muradin. Etherno will be playing the Zeratul once more. Grand Piquete and Karazim and Sport Billy will be playing the Falstad.
Yeah, we have the game finally on run. Of course, we're going to take a closer look at the talents just in a moment. But Sky Temple, once again, map number 1. Pretty important here for those two teams. This is where they started the last time as well. It is a rematch, and it's going to be pretty interesting to see if NaVi can change things up enough to pull out a victory here now.
I want to keep a very heavy eye onto the Zeratul. Eternal, I think, has a lot to prove in this game, and I think he needs to be very impactful, especially pre-10. But they do get the flight out there, getting early control on the site. Not surprising to see Fnatic not contest. I mean, it's a situation where they don't gain too much, but they do actually take the fight separate from that, and already getting a pick there on Karazim, not even having an opportunity to dash out.
A great play here. They go in, they take the kill, and Karazim just did have no opportunity to save himself. So that's exactly the opening that Fnatic was hoping for, because we already saw on those screenshots a little bit earlier that NaVi is definitely, there is a lot of pressure on them, and they are very tense. So in this case, if they now start to tilt, that would be the worst thing that could happen to them in this series.
That's actually a situation where mentality-wise, okay, you're like, okay, well, we're getting the rematch here. We got to win this matchup. You know, this is our tournament life on the line. And within the first like 30 seconds of the game, you already lose a hero. That has got to be very detrimental to their mentality here. But no surprising strategy when it comes up to the teams. A little bit of a 2-1-2 on the side of NaVi. Zeratul kind of get that pseudo roam. Meanwhile, Fnatic is rotating between mid and bottom and halves, trying to get the wave clear out. I mean, realistically, I don't think either of these teams have a huge advantage when it comes to the laning phase, and I don't think either of them are making any major mistake, I feel like.
What I really like when we're talking about the rotation that you already spoke about is that we have the setup with Zagara now at the top lane. This is something that we've seen a lot more, especially when you see a Chen in the game. In this game, it's Dehaka who triggers the difference, because he has, of course, that global that he can use to just like move up straight to the top. And this is something that Ethereal is going to use if he sees that there's an opportunity. And, well, we talked a bit about the importance of the early temples, and in this case, vision is going to be absolutely crucial. If Dehaka sees a chance to jump behind a hero and get a bit of assistance, he's going to take that opportunity, forgo a bit of the bot lane soak, and go for that kill.
Yeah, I really like the fact that they actually control the shrines, but we do see a little bit of harassment going in Shrimpy, but mainly the fact that the site is controlled by Fnatic and they have the global in the bottom half of the map. I really like the position that they managed to put themselves in so far in this game. I really feel like that gives them a little bit of an upper hand. They haven't delayed top at all, though, understandably so, considering the Zagara is going to be isolated. I'm surprised they haven't looked to be a little bit more aggressive and trying to abuse that global out of Dehaka.
Oh, maybe the kill against Shrimpy. He gets the kill against Zeratul. Already realizing it would be tough for him to survive this, so he just turns around and says, hey, if you go for me, I'm at least going to take one of you guys with me. Already Dehaka going in now as well. Sport Billy has to move away, and Fnatic is looking to pick up the last few shots on the temple.
That was really good job on their part to secure a kill that early. It gives them a little bit of a lead here, but we did see NaVi actually secure the rest of the mid shrine in their favor, so kind of just trading off the very back end of each one of those shrines for the teams. No major lead, though.
Yeah, in this case, one of the things that was really also important important is that Zarmani at the bot lane stayed for the team, soaked the lane, and was able to push a few of the minions into the tower. So there was still a bit of experience lost because DreamHack moved to the top, didn't get the kill that he was hoping for. But as you already pointed out, in experience, they're more or less dead even, with a tiny lead for Fnatic, which allows them to maybe jump on level 7 talents a bit earlier.
I do like, as we saw right there, for instance, Athero is very good at being patient when not providing vision of himself on the map. I think that's really crucial being a DreamHack with that global, because if the opponent doesn't know where you are, they're fearful of the gank. Even if you are soaking a separate lane, he is very, very passive with it, and I think that's a really heads-up play from him. It's a sign that he's comfortable on the hero.
Besides that, we have also Enforcer, by the way, auto-attack builds. He does not go into Gathering Storm. We are seeing him with Season Marksman on level 1, going for that power throw talent right afterwards. And on the other hand, of course, when we're looking at Li Ming in particular, it's again Triumvirate that has been chosen here for the level 4 talent on Quacknix.
Rhaegar ended up going with the totem-style build as well. Gains a little bit of value when controlling the shrines, and we do see the push on the bottom half of the map gaining quite a bit of value with the dismount there from Breeze to just kind of isolate NaVi. And now they've already taken out the entire front wall on the bottom half of the map. Beautiful use of mercenary camps when it comes out to Fnatic. They're in a situation to where the next shrine is now going to gain a lot of value for them, because we know there's going to be spawning on the bottom half of the map.
Taking down the well, of course, another big factor here, making sure that there's no opportunity for NaVi during a potential fire at the bottom temple to go to well and get hit points and mana back. So that was a big one, and they prioritized that highly, which they definitely should. We have a level 7 talents of both of them. The Force Armor on Li Ming is going to make her a bit safer than in the later stage of the game, especially, of course, against Zeratul, who's always going to look for an opening with the Vorpal Blades that he already has taken on level 4.
Both teams are capturing the night camp in almost even timing. They both also have a global here. I would actually like to see Fnatic be higher prioritization over the shrine than worrying about clearing the camp, largely because DreamHack doesn't have necessarily the best clear, but also because they've taken out the front wall and they're dead even in XP. Those first couple of shots to get rid of the turrets will give an XP spike in favor of NaVi far faster. But Athero is actually getting caught out a little bit here. He has used his passive. His E is going to be going down. Oh my goodness, I don't think he's going to be able to survive this. No, he will be going down right as the shrine is up here, Kaldor. Worst case scenario for Fnatic.
Yeah, but Fnatic is not, or NaVi is not really willing to fully commit to the shrine at the temple at the bot lane just yet, and that's also because we still have that one tower, the one well taken out. So even with the lead in experience, NaVi is just simply saying, you can have that temple, we're just going to simply push the top lane, take the structures down. We have a camp pushing with that as well, going to soak the shots, and Fnatic is going to react, or is reacting already, with splitting all 3 lanes, trying to get the experience, but Quacknix is in trouble. Here comes Eternal, trying to jump in and take him down. Oh, and the kill, thanks to Sportbill with a false start, and double kill for NaVi. And now they have level 10 abilities as well. Great play, and they are trying to continuing it with another kill on Athero.
That was really, really big deal for the side of NaVi, because it put themselves in a situation, because we saw Fnatic actually capture a majority of the shrine and how slow NaVi was actually to respond to that upper half of the map. They would have been able to get the shrine, then respond to that fort and force the fight on an even footing. But instead, NaVi walks away with 3 kills and a huge momentum swing in their favor.
They have a massive lead in experience now. Not only do we just now see the heroic abilities for Fnatic kick in, but at the same time it's a level lead. It's the fort that was eliminated at the top, so in a structural perspective we have both of the teams on eye level right now. We have Force Wall once again taken, or Wave of Force, we have Ancestral Healing, we have the Maw as well, of course, Isolation and the Mosh Pit on ETC. The team's looking to gain some control over the map by getting more mercenary camps, and of course in the case of Zagara it's just vision that they're aiming for now, especially with Endless Creep taken as a level 7 talent.
I do. Both of the teams actually are sitting roughly on even footing structurally here at this point. Mid is getting a little bit of an advantage. Obviously, bottom is struggling a bit, but they compensate for that on top. So shrines are going to be roughly even value for the time being between these two teams, which is really important when seeing Fnatic being so far behind in XP the way that they are. But I've been very impressed with NaVi. I felt like that decision-making they had there, the only way it would have been value is if they got a pick, and they did more than that. They took 1, 2, 3, like getting multiple picks there, setting themselves apart. I don't know if that would necessarily get them, I guess, a big enough lead that I feel like they can't be contested, but it is showing signs of life in a series that I actually thought they were pretty much going to kind of just lay down.
Yeah, especially since Eternal on Zeratul is currently doing a great job redeeming himself here. A lot of aggression on his part, always trying to just like put a bit of damage in, and he's on everybody. He saw Quacknix earlier and immediately jumped on him. He died, of course, against Zagara. It was a smart move by Shrimpy at the top lane that we saw those initial double kills, but right now Zeratul definitely having a much higher impact than he did in the first best of 3 series that these teams played against each other.
Both of the globals sitting in the upper half of the map. Bottom shrine is the only one that's currently going to be contested between these two teams. Fnatic has a very aggressive aggressive stance there. This is really big value for them because they do have the opportunity to contest top after this point. I'm surprised Navi's dancing around, not capturing top for that long.
Yeah, they're wasting a lot of time here, and the problem that they have is that also Fnatic is starting to really close that gap in experience because they took down that fort in the mid lane. If they soak these 3 lanes, yes, Navi's going to hit that 13 probably a bit faster, but Fnatic is rapidly closing that gap.
I'm surprised that we didn't see on the side of Fnatic, they actually rotate the global down to the bottom half of the map, finish the rest of the shrine, and then actually abuse that at this point now, forcing the 5 versus 5 on the upper half of the map here. So there will be a small rotational advantage sitting on the side of NaVi if ETC does decide, or excuse me, Murden rotate up, but that was very close, sniffing out Eternal there.
Yeah, that was scary. Eternal with a last moment blink, and Breeze was really looking for him. 13 versus 13 have now been hit, and we're seeing once again also Illusion is now taken on the side of Li Ming, starting to jump in with cooldown reduction for Rhaegar, so a little bit more heal for him. Carries him with a Relentless, and also more auto attack damage on the side of Falstead. As mentioned before, he went for the Seasoned Marksman build. On the other hand, now we're having Zeratul and also Alex jumping on Shrimpy. Very much alone. Great trap set by NaVi, and they get another kill against Fnatic.
The worst part of that situation is because death timers are so short, we did see Ma used actually, so let's see if NaVi is able to capitalize in that short period of time. It's 100 seconds until that's going to be up. Meanwhile, we're going to have about 15 until he spawns at that point, so I'd really like to see the Void Prison force a team fight within the short duration. This is a great capitalization moment for NaVi.
Yeah, and we have in the meantime also Fnatic going for another camp, so if NaVi can sniff that out and try to go for it, they have a very good shot at least forcing the camp, maybe forcing a fight even and get a kill there. But so far, they're actually retreating. They're not really capitalizing on that huge advantage. They're just deep pushing lanes and trying to soak some additional experience.
I think that's a safe choice considering the area that they were going to try and force the fight. That would be in a chokehold where Mosh might gain a large amount of value. I think being patient is definitely very important for NaVi, but now that they sit in a situation where, again, Ma is still off of cooldown and it's more in open territory, I would like to see them trying to abuse it a little bit more than they are. And another thing to keep in mind here between these two teams is structurally only a minor advantage in the side of Fnatic here. So the level of lead is sitting for NaVi is very, very important because structures are dead even, XP is the only thing that matters at that point. So a pretty big lead in their favor.
They're taking the camps, and there's a lot of vision, of course, for the opponent, thanks to the creep and the work of Shrimpy. So right now we're seeing the rotation of Breeze, who immediately tries to stop that. He at least secures their own siege camp for them. They still have to depush the bot lane, as we're now seeing also the additional temples being activated. A slight adjustment, by the way, in the builds on the Haka. On level 13, he did not go for the Whirling Dervish, which we've seen a lot, but it's instead the Ferocious Stalker that he has taken. So there's a bit more of an opportunity to just like come in the bush and go for a quick gank.
Yeah, it's definitely going to make his...
Well, right now we are having another camping taken at this point to the right side of the map, where Zarmany and Grand Paquette are hard at work to get the bruisers going for them. At the bottom of the map, the first temple is already being captured, and NaVi has to move now to the top, or at least force a fight at the bottom. Have to make a choice here.
It's going to be interesting to see how this plays out. The 16 talent tier is going to be picked up for NaVi. They need to be trying to force this fight as best as they can. They did wait long enough that Ma's going to be up, but oh my goodness. An Arrow Angel. All it takes is one drag, and that is going to be one dead Eternal. That was very well done on their side. It's sad to see. It feels like NaVi has had a lot of opportunities to get a pretty big lead and make a big plays here, but they seem too hesitant.
One of the things that we still have to mention, though, is that Ethereal is also doing a great job of soaking experience and being all over the place. I mean, we've seen Eternal in really positions where he went a bit deep. He was always looking for an opportunity to pressure the damage. He escaped Breeze early on. This time, he didn't really get lucky. It was just Eternal, and he had a chance to lock him down. But you're totally right on this. We have a situation in which NaVi, it felt like they could have done a bit more.
I mean, it's the second time, right? We saw the same situation happen with Ma being off cooldown as well, having the opportunity, because that's the beauty of Zeratul, right? I mean, you can always force. That's the beauty of Zeratul.
When they actually killed Zagara and they were just like sitting on lane soaking experience, I felt what they could have done is like steal that Siege Giant camp away from Fnatic, move back, take their hours. It was like a 4 versus 5 situation there, so that was a bit of a chance for them to make something happen, even with the creep tumors that provided vision to Fnatic, because what they're going to do? Like forcing a fight with being one hero down?
Yeah, I mean, you don't always have to take the big fight there, even the small ones like taking the Merc camp, just doing something to further your lead here. And I feel like this is very panic. Keep in mind, this boss start, huge control, boss control, going to be sitting in the favor of NaVi, excuse me, but we're getting stunned out here. Alex already forcing his heroic here.
Yeah, and Eternal jumps in once again. Here comes the Sundering. Breeze is trying to look for an opportunity. If he can make a play, the boss is already extremely low. Here comes the Drag on the other hand. The stun follow-up. What a great combo by Fnatic. They take down Muradin. Here comes the attempt to go for the boss, though. We have more and Void Prison going down. Fnatic secures the boss. This is not going to be another Dignitas moment.
That was a really great job from Athero Angel, just because the boss control, sitting with Void, sitting with Gus.
Yeah, the bot lane right now, we're having Fnatic moving in once again. They're, of course, already preparing this with the boss, what we're seeing at this point. And we have the keep about to be eliminated. So NaVi is in a situation where they're still down on 2 seconds on Muradin. We have the boss going for the core, and Fnatic is thinking about ending it. They have 18 versus 16. It's the same talent. This is one of the moments where they overreach again. Here comes the mosh pit on the other hand. It's immediately being used to kill Eternal. Zeratul is dead. Sport Billy is low. And now NaVi is trying to do what they can to somehow must up a defense, but they are in trouble. They are forcing them into a corner. On the other hand, though, the kill against Rhaegar, but it's a double kill against Karazim and Falstad. The quad kill, they take down Thrall, and wow. Core still being attacked here, 32%. The boss is on it, and Fnatic is going in for the kill. GG already called, and we have Fnatic once again taking the lead against NaVi in the best of 3 series. The final best of 3 series in Group B. Yeah. Alright, so guys, apparently Dreadnought's might is dead, but yeah, in this case, what we saw here is, of course, Fnatic with that lead, and that's something that they really needed here. It is exactly the same situation that they ended up with when they played against NaVi in the first series, and right now we're having a situation in which NaVi, of course, is under enormous pressure. We've been talking a little bit earlier already when we started to go into the series. For them, it's really tricky, and right now it's a situation in which they really have to just like calm down, take a deep breath, because this is not going to be easy for them. They were already a little bit tensed up before the series started. This definitely didn't help, and now they have to find some way to just calm down, take a breath, and focus on the next 2 maps, because this is their tournament life on the line. We are going to jump into a short commercial break, and when we're back, we're of course going to head straight into the draft for game number 2. So ladies and gentlemen, get ready for the second match. We're going to be back in a few minutes.
Let's drop the beat.
We are determination.
We are justice.
We are courage.
We are Overwatch.
Done! Woohoo! Did someone call a doctor? Justice reigns from above.
Pass into the iris.
Kaboom!
The world could always use more heroes.
Overwatch, coming to PC and consoles May 24th.
From east to west, heroes are sent, seeking glory in the greatest of events. There are knights are noble steeds, those who will break them to their knees. There are monsters to test their mettle at every turn. Legends will rise based on their merits. There's even pirates riding parrots. It's the grand tournament.
Good.
Welcome back, everybody, after this short break. We've just seen a very interesting game between Fnatic and NaVi. It was almost a mirror match from the previous series that took place earlier during this group stage. Now, we've seen a very chaotic last team fight around the boss area, didn't we, guys?
Yeah, it looked like NaVi was gently leading the most of the game.
Yeah, they were doing really well. They were getting some good picks onto a lot of the heroes.
5 to 10% advantage in the game, and then they put it all to fate by contesting the boss. Was it necessary?
Not really. They could have absolutely just left it and just continue playing the game how they were. The boss is a situation where if you go for it, you usually want to be in a situation where you're not risking it. And what they ended up doing is making one small mistake with heroics and giving up a huge lead that they had. And Fnatic were able to just take that and end the game with it.
Could you go as far and say that if they had planned their heroic abilities a little bit more wisely and precisely, that they could have maybe gotten the boss?
Yeah, I would say the burden of execution was on NaVi in general with their draft. When you have Gust, Sundering, and Void Prison, you need to use them in the correct order and for the correct purpose at the correct time. And that requires a lot of instinct, reliance on your teammates. They kind of used everything at the same time at the boss run. And these are the greatest disengage and control tools, together with Devouring Maw, to control a boss point. You should be able to Gust everyone away and then VP them, but with like the positioning, like it didn't work out. They did mess up their execution a bit, and perhaps it wasn't necessary.
Yeah, that pretty much covers it. They could have waited. Like, if they had, we're not saying that because they took the boss, if they hadn't gone for that boss, etc., they wouldn't have done anything.
Yeah.
Because NaVi, or if NaVi hadn't taken the boss, they would have been a guaranteed win. Because Fnatic were still in the game. They were still very close behind, but it was an unnecessary risk from the side of NaVi.
Now Fnatic is so close to making it all the way to the playoffs, while at the same moment NaVi is at the brink of dropping out. It would be a very big disappointment for them. You know, they really want to redeem themselves and re-establish their reputation after suffering a similar process in Katowice. Now we're going to dive right into the second draft of this best of series, guys, and it is going to take place on Dragonshire, a much smaller map than Sky Temple. Would you say that we can expect a similar comp out of NaVi, or are they completely going to switch things up?
Let's see. Yesterday, earlier this morning, they played on Blackheart Space second. So that's a different map pick already for NaVi, now favoring Dragonshire. And Zeratul will get removed, the respect ban against NaVi.
Yep, it was very strong for them. It actually made it into the game. And in a lot of those situations, especially against Li Ming, it was very destructive. She had a very rough time of it. He was able to follow anyone escaping, and he is still a strong pick. Whereas NaVi, they're going to ban out the Zagara. It helped Fnatic in a couple situations there. It's just a solid hero overall.
I'm pretty sure that Fnatic knows that Zeratul is one of those game-changing heroes, so I think they really want to make sure not to fall victim to any unforeseen circumstances here. They want to play it extremely safe. They don't want to get lucky punched by NaVi, don't you think?
Yeah, exactly. And also cloaked heroes in general are good on Dragonshire. You have a lot of these 1v1s at the top and the bottom that Zeratul can tilt those favors very easily.
Yeah, so having a look at the heroes we have now, global for global, and it's been mentioned by our resident analyst Red that this is an amazing map for Dahaka. This is a really, really good map for him. So Fnatic letting it go is quite interesting. NaVi, though, they're going to be very happy to pick that up. We'll just have to see what they run with it.
Was that Dahaka Li Ming?
Oh, wow.
No counter ban against Chen possible this time. Happened a few times already in the second ban phase. They're picking that up super early, having so much confidence that they're picking Chen over every other Tier 1 established warrior like ETC, Murden, and Johanna.
If you would have taken a look at any other team in Europe except for NaVi, then you would have actually been, your mind would have been blown.
It would be ridiculous.
It would be ridiculous.
You took Chen, okay, you just trolled the draft.
Right. But we know how good Alex is on his Chen. It is by far his most comfortable hero, and we've seen how they dismantled the Sandwich Monkeys with it.
Yeah, he has so much practice on that barrel that he is able to just completely control people, because we did see it yesterday as well. And what we ended up seeing is a couple really, really good barrels and a couple, I would say in one situation, not so good barrels, where someone got pushed into the enemy team and then past the enemy team and then back to safety again because they couldn't get round them again. Whereas Alex, I don't think I've seen him make a really bad barrel.
Yeah, of course, Fnatic here responding with Li Ming and Murden, two very safe heroes to play. You can't really do much wrong. And I think it very much fits the theme of Fnatic. Don't take any risks. Pick safe heroes that you can sort of use to establish your lead even more.
And they need a solid replacement for that Greymane pick that they used to hinge a lot on. So having these two secures their damage dealers in comfortable heroes already. Now NaVi, so far everything they've picked has been either about solo laning or controlling laning or being a warrior. Darka, Chen, Zagara, now finally going to delve into support bans as they will have the next two picks, so they can do a pretty good support isolation here.
Yeah, they get rid of Uther and Fnatic. There's quite a few options they could ban, but I want to just quickly draw attention to what NaVi could pick next round. Right now, they have a huge amount of the solo laner controls. They've already banned out Zagara, they've picked Chen. If they were to pick Thrall in this next pick phase, there would be very few heroes who could actually lane against NaVi.
Yeah, you would put like Falstad in the top lane or something. Like so far from the looks of it, that would be Falstad. There we go, another one. Like you mentioned, Thatcher. Sonya, a great solo laner, but it's not going to be Sonya Thrall, right?
No,
like,
that
would be really weird.
That would be very, very aggressive. Just there's the Rhaegar though. Rhaegar also very solid with Uther banned out. The Rhaegar, good healing, protection for the Sonya. So they have a hell of a front line. It's just a question of what they're relying on as their damage.
Something I always find risky about those melee-heavy comps is that they're very susceptible to clumping up.
And to Kel'Thas, so...
Which Kel'Thas has been banned, though, right?
Exactly. So
Which is why.
That makes it a little bit more
I would love to see Azul with Poison Nova here.
As a counter engage, I love that idea.
Oh, yeah.
That's a really cool idea. Definitely behind that.
Yeah, and they still need wave clear because Li Ming is slightly above average, Murden is very far below, Zul would be great, and you take Karazim as a healer.
I continue to have faith in Artanis. Because now is actually not a terrible time to pick him. Multiple warriors, good blind.
Yeah, sort of.
Karazim
Here's the first part of the puzzle.
Karazim was almost a no-brainer.
Yep. So now second frontliner to fill it in. They could still go for the Thrall if they wanted. They could pick, like you said, a second tank like a Johanna or an ETC. Very solid against double tank lineups.
Yeah, I think you guys are onto something. It has to probably be Thrall or Zul as they would solo lane really well in the top lane. Very few others that can take that role. Let's just say at this point, anything else would surprise us.
Yeah, say so. Like, you can leave Falstad in the top lane, but you really want to leave Falstad with the team so he can help out with just the roaming if they want to do that.
Plus, he has no self-heal, so that can only persist for several minutes until it starts to become a problem if he ever takes trade damage.
Which is nearly impossible to avoid if you're against the Chen, at least. He just trades with you and then starts drinking.
You know what would be sick? Butcher Furnace Blast.
Oh,
there's so many melee characters. Oh, Leo! Oh, it is a surprise. It's not quite in the order of magnitude of Butcher, but Leoric is great against warriors. And there's 3 already.
Tell us why it is a surprise, but a very pleasant one.
Leoric is not so highly picked these days because he doesn't have as huge of an impact in terms of crowd control. A lot of the warriors nowadays are very CC heavy or very much separate the team heavy, whereas Leoric, he can help with that. The Entomb is an incredibly effective tool, especially combined with the Falstad, who can bring the Mighty Gust, or the Hinterland Blast into this, and he has that Drain against the front line, which is going to be very effective. NaVi found their damage.
Yeah, they went with Vala. Now, that Leoric pick, Leoric is great against tanks and he's great in wave clear, but he's weak against mass crowd control, stun, and takedown because his health pool is lower, and it also allows him not really to be that active in the fights. So he has found himself a really good situation where he can just turn on Wraithwalk to dodge Wandering Cake. He can dodge, ideally, all of the Hakka's abilities if he turns on Wraithwalk quickly enough. And if we get to level 20 and he gets Spectral Leech, he is going to become a monster.
Something that is also going to be extremely cool to see is going to be the heroic ability that Leoric is going to go for. Because with such a heavy comp, I think March of the Black King is quite possible. Do you think, guys, we're going to see this?
If he took the level 20 upgrade on that, that would be mental. Just apply Drave Hope to all of the warriors. But
I just think he's almost certainly going to take Spectral Leech, but I really weigh the heroic 50-50.
The Entomb would be nice because it combines well with Falstad, whereas the March of the Black King and Li Ming, whereas the March of the Black King is just adding extra damage, extra team fight potential to your team in that way. Just allows him to also sustain himself a bit more because he does heal for each hit he does that way.
Now, March of the Black King is a little bit less attractive against mobile characters. Chen has bonus movement speed, so does Sonya, Rhaegar, and Vala all have it. So I almost expect if you see that march to maybe the enemies will part like the sea before a gentle request of a religious figure. But that would lead a little bit more into Entomb, potentially.
I think so too. I mean, both heroics are possible, but then again, as you mentioned, the burst potential with Li Ming, of course, is ever so strong if combined with Entomb. Now, guys, this is a very, very important game. It could either mean the dropout for NaVi, or it could mean the advance for Fnatic, or it could lead to a possible Game 3, which would then be very, very exciting to watch as well. If you take a look at both of those rosters, at both of those compositions, and maybe tell us a little bit more, who do you think will take this victory home?
Looking at them, I kind of like the Fnatic lineup a bit better. They have the disengage, which I think is very important against the multiple warriors. They have that Mighty Gust. They could even use Entomb just as a block-off thing. They have a lot of protection for their own backline, for example, and they do, in theory, have the potential for just going for more bursty stuff themselves, because like we said, the Entomb into Mighty Gust or into Hinterland Blast, and you can even, if you really want to go aggro, add the 7-sided strike for Karazim due to how many warriors there are in this game, but if not, they have the Palmer's protection for heroes like Li Ming.
Robbie, your judgment.
Triple warrior comps have been out of the standard meta for a very long time already. They were trending for a little bit because they offer a lot of control. That still remains true. We do have control here from DreamHack and Chen. Sonya is more of a, I see her kind of like a melee mage, as most of her damage comes from spells. Triple warriors is very difficult to pull off. It needs extreme coordination and total reliance on each other. And so we see once again an extremely technical composition from NaVi. If both teams play effortlessly, Fnatic will have a much easier time. NaVi has really put a high burden, high skill execution necessity on themselves once again. But I'll be curious to see how it works out. These Wandering Cakes are going to create mayhem, and Warriors are very self-sufficient. So if we see a lot of 1v1 situations, it could be really good for NaVi.
There's one picture that just came to my mind. What if Leoric uses Entomb to sort of block the Wandering Keg?
Absolutely doable if you can get the good positioning on it, but it's very much positioning focused where you are on the map.
Like a prison around his own range damage dealer so they can't touch it.
Right.
Talk about high skill execution. I'm not sure we're ready yet in 2016.
Anyway, we've talked about potential outcomes and things that might go on. So I think Dreadnought and Calder are more than ready to take us to Dragonshire and see who's going to come on top between Fnatic and NaVi.
Dragonshire is the last game of the day, potentially, depending on how exactly Fnatic and NaVi are going to play it here right now. We could, of course, see a third map as well. I would like that. It would be Cursed Hollow. Would be pretty cool.
It would be definitely entertaining to see it go to that map specifically.
There's a lot of bosses, I heard.
There are a lot of bosses. I've also heard that certain teams struggle with those, like kind of Fnatic might have a hard time with those at times.
Yeah, a little bit. We saw like a series earlier against Ignis where that played a slight role, I feel.
They were about 0 for 2, I think.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, it was, you know.
The interesting part is that Dignitas actually didn't attack a boss, so...
It's actually funny. There was never once did they like ever fully commit to a boss. They were just like, guys, what if we stole them all?
Exactly. They didn't really put any damage on the boss, but they still captured 2. That's pretty impressive.
That is.
We are going into our game now, though. Game number 2, which is taking place on Dragonshire. The players are ready, and so are we. This series is going to be great. And starting to the left once again, we have Fnatic with Li Ming, played by Shwimpy. Aethera Angel on Leoric. We're seeing Quacknix on Falstad. Breeze on Murden, and Smexy is playing the Monk. He's playing Karazhan.
And for NaVi on the right side, we do have Zarmany playing the Dahaka. Alex the Pro G is going to be on the Chen. Etherner will be playing Sonya. Grand Picate is going to be on the Rhaegar. And we do have Sport Billy on the Vala.
And this is going to be a very tough match for NaVi, of course. They are already down 1 map in the best-of-3 series here. That doesn't make things any easier for them. And we are, of course, going to see how Fnatic is going to deal with the situation. 1 more map win is all they need to advance to tomorrow's matches. And already we have some adjustments here for NaVi to deal with the situation. They went for the grounding brew on Chen as a level 1 talent.
Yeah, to be able to deal with the Leoric in the solo lane, trying to reduce a little bit of the damage. I like it to pick up. It's an adaptability that I kind of never thought about. when it comes to the Chen builds. I guess Chen isn't one of the heroes I play the most, but Alex the Pro G obviously is very experienced with him. And already a little bit of a lane mismatch as well. We send Sonya is going to be on the upper half of the map at Thermal for NaVi, and they're actually sending Chen to the bottom.
Yeah, Chen at the bot lane here. And well, also with the Tim, actually the stun at the bot lane, trying to go for the kill. Same happening up at the top, and Zero is in trouble, and that's the kill against Leoric. First blood this time goes to NaVi.
This is a really beautiful decision so far coming out from NaVi. They're in a situation where they realize they can't compete with the 1-4, so they also realize the top lane might be kind of crippling. So instead of playing the map exactly how everybody expected them to, they go, what if we send Chen bottom and we rotate top instead? Leoric didn't expect it, one Wraith Walk too short, and that's a dead Athero.
Exactly. Zero, of course, now a lot more careful here at the top lane, and he has to be. But it's cool and interesting to see how exactly that draft went as well. The last pick for us was actually a bit anticlimactic with how long Fnatic spent time to actually go for that Leoric. We were hoping for that Murky that they already showed in Dragonshire a few times. In this case, with this many frontliners though, they decided that Leoric is the answer. And especially on level 7, they could go for the Paralyzing Rage on a Skeleton Swing to really give him a little bit more control in those team fights later in the game.
Now kind of a still rotating to the upper half, or NaVi deciding to try and capitalize there. Both of the teams have gotten a little bit of the front walls and two of the lanes that they're rotating to for the most, but it's pretty dead even for now, except for Schwimpy's getting a lot of value on those structures with Li Ming throwing out the orb and missiles there trying to poke at it. And so overall, small advantage for Fnatic, but I do like the creativity out of the NaVi. They're very much adapting, which honestly, I feel like this is the first time this whole tournament I've felt like they've reacted to a situation they've been put into.
And they have to. They really have to. They are really down to the wire at this point. Once again, the pressure on the Zero. And keep in mind that in terms of build, we're also seeing on Fawcett again an auto attack build. This time the hero is played by Fnatic. Quacknix jumped on him. And it makes, of course, perfect sense for him to go for the auto attacks. He's going to look for that giant kill on level 13. He has so many auto attackers against him, so many frontliners, warriors, that he is going to try and do his best to put as much auto attack damage on them as he possibly can.
Yeah, and both the teams kind of just dancing around here on the map, which is kind of the story of Dragonshire for the most part. A lot of rotations are very, very crucial. Individual decision-making is far higher in value on this map than some of the rest. But like I said, I am more impressed a little bit with the decision-making coming out from NaVi. I do like the creativity they've had at this time. But look at Breeze sniffing out the night camp already. Very heads up on his half.
Yeah, playing really well here. The bot lane, by the way, we are seeing that Siege Giant camp now taken. I like that a lot. They are seeing that the night camp is attacked. NaVi moved away from it, but they just simply steal the Siege Giant camp of the opponent. That is huge. It's one of the main reasons why teams actually focus so heavily on the bot lane on Dragonshire.
And the worst case scenario is they only have Chen to clear it at this time. It's going to force a rotation out from NaVi, which is a really big advantage for Fnatic. That was really well done. What they did was essentially they scattered them at the Knights and they decided, okay, well, we'll just start this. And the minute that they showed any signs of interest in the night camp, you saw NaVi just backed out completely, and they're like, guys, we're still on your Giants. So that was really well done from them. Heads up play on Fnatic's side.
NaVi jumps back to the night camp and finally caps it here, but at the bot lane, we have a massive commitment to the fort, and they're trying to go for the kill now. As Spot really moves in, Vala is down. That's the kill right there, but we're seeing NaVi going straight into the battle now, as is Quacknix in a bit of trouble. Is trying to move away. Shrimpy uses the teleport, also escaping here. Great performance once again by Fnatic in this fight. They retreat, they get their kill. They put a massive amount of damage on that fort, and they find themselves in a very, very nice spot now here in game number 2.
Structurally gating an entire fort before a Dragon Shrine period is very uncommon. Alex actually being very aggressive on the bottom half of the map, trying to use his Q to dance around, dodge a little bit of the damage here. And the flank coming out from NaVi to the bottom half of the map. Schwimpy getting under a little bit of pressure. Finally, Zarmany rotating down as well. This is a 4 versus 4 here between these two teams. Excuse me, it's going to be a 4 versus 5 actually. Leoric is still on the upper half of the map. And with that many resources committed to bottom, NaVi walks away with almost nothing.
Yeah, NaVi gets only the shrine and that's it. And at the top lane, of course, we had Leoric have the second shrine in the meantime. He moves back to defend the fort. That's going to be an important one. We have, by the way, in talents, also now on level 7, not the Paralyzing Rage, which would definitely have been an option for Leoric. He went into the Ghastly Reach instead. We're seeing in this moment both of the shrines for a very short period of time under the control of Fnatic. And they are going to hit a level 10 at some point earlier, Brad, if they continue this path.
Uh-oh, Leoric is going to be going down. Athero will be not that impactful in terms of what they're going to be able to gain from the death timers, but it does gain a large XP advantage to kind of bring it back for NaVi, and they're going to be trying to capitalize on the upper half of the map. You do see the rotations, though, coming out from Fnatic. Leoric is about to spawn. This is going to be very, very important here. And look at already the burrow is going to be used.
Zarmony explodes, blown to pieces. Well played. And that's actually one of the things that we have to watch out for after level 10 as well. Once that DreamHack goes for the burrow, we will see that mighty gust on Fawcett to isolate him from the rest of the team and burst him down. It's something that Fnatic has been looking for in previous games, and they're going to do that again. They're also going to get that Dragon Knight. They have the level 10s, and they are using that beast now to move in the mid lane and drop more towers.
Fnatic has had great control of this game. NaVi was the team that was able to kind of adapt to how the draft played out in the first parts of the map, but all it took was a small advantage, and Fnatic is really trying to like capitalize. And it's something that I think out of the last game that we saw, I felt like NaVi wasn't capitalizing nearly as much, whereas Fnatic has done a great job in both of these games. Any small advantage you get them, they're willing to take, starting with just a giant camp.
Yeah, they're doing exactly that, but now we have the Fort already eliminated. Level 10 abilities are in for both of the teams. The Wandering Keg for Chen. We have also the Reign of Vengeance here for Vala. More lockdown, and with that heavy front line, Spotbilly will commit this. He's already moving in. Here comes the Entomb against 2. Rain is being used. Didn't really get any value there, though.
Yeah, there's a pretty long cooldown at that point going to be popped as well. 82 seconds still, and that's going to be up. And we don't see many used on the side of Fnatic. Even Li Ming, sitting at level 11, hasn't even chosen one, and now they're counter-engaging.
Yeah, and Alex is jumping in again, but here comes Fnatic. They're moving away with the Wraith Walk now. And you have to ask yourself, what exactly did Vala look for with that Reign of Vengeance? It was only the Dragon Knight. Yes, it looked scary with the Entomb, but the rest of Fnatic was actually moving back.
Yeah, I agree with you very much there. It felt like Sports Billy maybe a little bit too trigger happy when it comes to it. Yeah, I was talking about Li Ming. She's sitting at level 11 and still has not selected heroic talent here. I don't know why. I feel like her heroics are both like widely used enough to where you can't really be hiding anything.
There's the Wave of Force now being used, so that's going to be the talent here, trying to look for the displacement and maybe for an additional kill here. And of course also like use that in those team fights later on against Shenmei with that barrel. And especially talking barrel, Cleanse is going to be a very important tool on the side of Karazim once that Alex commits to his heroic ability.
Yeah, it's very important that we see Alex at least try and time around the Cleanse as well, because it is very good response to the barrel. But Fnatic has complete control of this map for the most part. They've done a lot very well with their composition. I've been honestly pretty impressed. I thought that Navi's adaptation and the first couple of levels was something that they wouldn't be able to deal with, but they not only responded to it, they have completely capitalized in every situation that they could have.
Yeah, one of the weaknesses of Fnatic is definitely the late game decision making at times when they are getting very excited, when you can, like, it's a high energy team, right? I mean, these guys are screaming on the top of their lungs. They have a lot of energy going for them, which is amazing in team fights, but sometimes it also forces them into a few mistakes when they overextend in the late game. But the strength, as you just pointed out, is definitely in the early game, in the mid game. That's really where they usually have a very crisp play, and that's what we're seeing right now. They have the advantage, and they're trying to capitalize on it again. And interesting enough, NaVi is trading a top forward for a pressure play at the bottom keep.
Not worth that. And in no world is that front keep wall worth what that force is going to be on the upper half. I'm surprised. And we even saw Eternal was very late to rotate that situation. Keeping one up there maybe making a little bit of sense, but we do see the fly out there. Oh, the barrel is actually beautifully timed to be able to, given the movement speed, to be able to dodge the Entomb. But NaVi, again, game number 2, kind of showing poor decision making, a little bit slow in a lot of situations, definitely not capitalizing or being able to deal with what Fnatic's brought to the table.
They at least got the entire fort and not only a bit of pressure on it, so that Kemp was able to push that through, but still losing all of the towers at the bot lane keep, of course, that opens up a chance for Fnatic to move in later on and take it down. At least we have even talents now for the two teams, as both reach level 13, so that it will enable NaVi to take a fight here. Vala is continuing with that build here, with now the Giant Killer taken on level 13 as well, so not capitalizing on the composite arrow on level 1, not going into that frost shot here, but trying to get more auto attack damage against Muradin and Leoric.
Posturing in the bottom half of the map, Fnatic trying to figure it out. They have been very impressive so far. NaVi actually, oh my damage onto Vala there. That was just one combo coming up for the Li Ming over the wall. Really great poke coming out from her.
That's the moment when you think, why didn't I take Spell Shield?
Yeah, yeah, you're very right. You're like, and there goes 75% of my health in 0.5 seconds. So feels bad, man. But we are in a situation where the aggressive rotation coming up from Fnatic, I love this. A little bit of patience, and they're going to be in a great situation. Fighting over the shrine that they desire to capitalize on a dragon is always a winning situation. So Fnatic, guess what? Also, NaVi, no fort to escape to. Very long distance of safety, a lot to capitalize on here. This is Fnatic's big play.
And they're looking for it again into being used on Entity Ancestral. We have the Mighty Gust a tiny bit too late to deny to them. A lot of the cooldowns now already being used, of course, but Barrel and Rain of Vengeance are still up on the side of NaVi. We are seeing Fnatic trying to push this in a little bit further, though. They still can fight for this shrine. Breeze is at the front, zoning for the rest of the team, but Leoric already disengaging here, trying to look for more experience and wave clear in the middle and potentially at top.
Yeah, I realized that the positioning of his team after they kind of used all of their heroics in that type of situation didn't feel like their team had a lot to bring to the table past that. I think that patience is important, especially when you have the lead that you see for Fnatic. Not only are they ahead very much structurally, but they also are with a level lead here. I like that patience coming out from Fnatic. But as you kind of criticize them in the past is that they get a little bit too aggressive. We still have Wraith Walk. We should be fine here. There's no CC to stop it. But
that was close.
the encounter into, but nobody there to respond.
2 towers. The 2 towers actually doing quite a bit of damage. That looked good. And they're not done yet. They're trying to flank here. That is actually like really nice, holding them back for a long time. Here comes the Mighty Gust. 3 are trapped. Rain of Vengeance hitting once, trying to hit twice. Full set moving out, and it's a 5 versus 5 in the top lane all of a sudden, with Zamani moving in, trying to look again for the tongue. Alex is there. Heroic abilities in cooldown. Wave of Force and Palm are still available though for Fnatic, and they're trying to push Jen into a position where they can take him out, but Alex using the wall to escape.
This shrine is going to be capitalized. Dahaka is actually digging to the bottom half. All right, so no DK is going to be given up. I wouldn't be surprised if Fnatic tried to capitalize by getting something else here, but I guess they're going to try within the short duration of time. Oh, there's the false head rotating down. They're going to look more towards the Dragon Knight because the Giants pushing on the bottom half was threatening keep, and Sportsbilly does end up pulling away there. So really heads up play there, understanding the abuse of global from both sides, and Fnatic secures another Dragon Knight. Question is, are they going to be worried about a keep here, or are they worried about the keep front wall? They only have a 16 tier advantage here, and they don't have necessarily the greatest siege comp in the world, so how they play this is very important.
They're going for the bot now, and they're trying to go for the Haka. That stun on false that helps, of course. Mighty Gust being used to isolate him. Didn't really work as well as they were hoping for. Here comes the barrel.
Whoa.
Nice bomb triggered, and here comes that jump from Breeze back to safety. That was desperately needed. Smexy with good reactions, and now Ethereal already on the keep. Of course, the keeps, they don't slow the attack speed down anymore. It's only the movement speed, and the Dragon Knight therefore can finally start to chop away at that keep. Fnatic is gonna get that. Zamani's trying to delay it by a quick tongue here with a drag, but it's already too late. Keep number 1 is gone.
That is a huge win for Fnatic there, and the attack speed debuff no longer existing, showing how quickly a Dragon Knight, even with a small lead here and 5 versus 5, just ate that keep alive. Almost no response on the side of NaVi there, just because that attack speed debuff no longer exists. Drag gonna be coming out here, but Fnatic has secured themselves a pretty spot here on this map. With that keep now being in a lane that the actual that the shrines are going to be spawning for the DK, gives them a lot of a vision advantage and only increases the probability of them gaining further. Oh man, the attempt.
Yeah, the attempt to get it, or he was just trying to get rid of that Dragon Knight a bit faster.
Yeah,
I don't know.
He might have double spammed it, you know.
Yeah.
I feel like with Barrel in that type of situation and Chen Q, I feel like it was probably unrealistic. You're probably more right that he just maybe hit R a little bit too quick there, but it's a short cooldown.
Yep.
Nothing to worry about really when you are on Fnatic side.
Now, it's nothing too crazy here, but it's going to be pretty interesting to see how Fnatic plays it right now. As we said before, they tend to overextend in late game situations a little bit. I talked to them a lot after their games, and they said they really need to just like have this one guy that, you know, that calms things down a little bit after these high energy situations. Just as like guys play relaxed, that they oftentimes lose a bit track of the XP timer when they are close to another talent. So that's something that they have to watch out for right now, because NaVi is now finally in a spot where they are on even talents again and where they can try to look for an even fight.
Yeah, and they're posturing to the bottom half of the map with the Giant camp. They're trying to kind of protect that out, and that's going to be their point of siege. I don't feel like they really have what it takes. They also struggle now with the triple warrior composition with sieging as well. I was kind of mocking Fnatic a little bit there, saying that I don't feel like they have the greatest of siege, but NaVi's is not really that much better. You see Leoric actually getting a attempt to flank there. Ethereal trying to get aggressive positioning to abuse the Entomb there with the Gust, but it is going to be a no-go here. Honestly, Fnatic is not the team who has to make the big play. I like their patience here. You like I said before, you've kind of been criticizing their decision-making in the late game, and I feel like in the series versus NaVi, they have only bitten off as much as they actually can chew, and they never once have been like, hey guys, this didn't work out, right? They back out. Oh, my flank's not going to work on there, I'm just going to back out, because with the lead that they have, they don't need to be making those choices, and it seems like maybe a little bit more mature with their decision-making in this series.
I really like it a lot. I'm actually impressed that they were able to make that adjustment from the earlier series up to now. I mean, it was only a short break that they had, but they really said right after the loss against Tickentas, guys, we have to work on this. This is a problem for us. And whoever is now currently calling the retreats, it's working for them. It's really working well, and they are looking at a very good spot here. But let's not forget that with the 16 talents now, NaVi has a shot. If they can force a good fight, they might be able to claw their way back. They have roughly half a level before Fnatic is going to hit their level 20, and that's going to be important talent. But Alex has a lot more lockdown now thanks to Pressure Point, and we also have the Earthgrass Totem. So maybe with those talents, they can start to make a bit of a play here.
I think I would like to see Fnatic just be very, very patient in the situation. They have both of the globals top, so they have nothing to worry about. Wait till the 20. Even, honestly, I'd be willing to give up a DK if worst case scenario happened at this point, just because you have such a significant lead. You will be able to capitalize elsewhere, so the patience on their end is going to be crucial once more. NaVi needs to make something happen. I don't know where in their rotations they need. I feel like a very big Dahaka play is something that is kind of a must for them at this point in time, especially with Falstad showing top as long as he has. If Zarmany's been on the map, by the way, keep in mind, he's always been visible, so they know where he is at all times, not making him terrified. Whereas Athero, we saw how he always hides in the shrubs. Not once has that happened on the side of Zarmany.
I really have to say that I personally, you make a great point there, but now that we have the level 20 also on the side of Fnatic, I have to once again say I'm very impressed that they're able to just like have that patience here. Now they're willing to fight, of course, and up at the top lane, Falstad is down, that's a problem. Is it going to result in Dragon Knight, though? They have control over the shrines. Here comes the Rain of Vengeance. Sport really forced to use his heroic for it. Also Chen with his save. A lot of cooldowns already used, and that might be a problem, even in a 4 versus 5. At the top, Dahaka is still there. It's a 4 versus 4 fight down here, and the answer still saving Alex again. Fnatic is moving away. The Wraith Walk is saving Athero, and still NaVi in a position where they might make a play here, since Falstad is dead for another 35.
Getting a little bit too aggressive before the rest of the team was there. That flight might have been, or the positioning there for the Falstad may be a little bit too bold. And now they're in a situation where they're going to have to try and dance around. They still have 20 advantage. I think worst case, that decision making we've been harping on so much here, Fnatic needs to, if worst case, just give up a Dragon Knight. This is a situation where if they just stagger all the deaths as much as they can, they might be risking too much and actually be able to lose the game in a game where they have the upper hand left and right.
The worst thing that can happen to them right now is taking a fight at this point in time before Falstad is back. One hero dies, Falstad is back, and then for another minute they're again down one hero. In this case, they actually wait, Falstad is back, they didn't have to give up a Dragon Knight, he can fly mid, Leoric is moving to the bot lane. They're trying to put pressure on Alex already as the bot lane is channeled, so they're gonna get that shrine any second now. Mid lane has to be careful as Zarmany moves in. They're trying to go for the kill against Smexy, and of course Breeze trying to keep close, but there is the kill, and it's the perfect target. He can't cleanse himself, and even the palm was not ready.
I mean, just word for word exactly what they have to 100% avoid in this type of situation. They do. And so maybe the criticism being a little bit rightly so here when it comes to the team. So Fnatic now losing their 20 advantage at this point. Both of the teams are going to be rounding up towards the 20 here, and this is where NaVi is finally going to be on even footing once more, something they haven't seen for some times in this matchup. Great momentum swing going in their favor, and now they're fighting. And a 4 versus 5 on the bottom half, even footing on a shrine that they need. This is most likely going to be a DK for NaVi.
Yeah, and Fnatic, they should really play safe. Now, as you said already before, I completely agree with the point that you made, that in the worst case scenario, you just have to let one go. You have to say, okay, in this case, just move back, give them the Dragon Knight, it's 20 versus 20. We're going to lose a 4 tier. I mean, like, that's probably the worst case scenario.
So it's like, in this
you
situation...
have Gust up, I mean...
Yeah, it's like, because top 4 is the only one that's actually down, right? So you're in a situation to where you're like, they have to be moving through a fort, which is a lot of free damage as long as you don't risk your positioning at this point. If it was like, for instance, the bottom half keep front wall was down, I'd be like, you know, maybe something to worry about. But at this point, it's like, all right, they're going to have to work through a fort. They're going to have to work through the front wall. At worst, you lose a keep.
Nobody's going to commit to a pressure play at the top lane with that Bridge of Death there, especially with all the abilities that we have. Can you imagine what a Leoric with an Entomb can do on that bridge in a good position? position, especially also that Limingo. And once again, we have a trap this time against Sport Billy. Here comes the Mighty Gas. They want Billy, but they don't get him. They're moving back right now. They need to be careful. The board is already gone. The Dragon Knight is already on point against Ethereal, chopping away. And here comes Chen. Alex, he wants the kill, and he gets it.
That's probably the least impactful kill that they can be getting at this point. It is nice to see NaVi showing signs of life here and securing a kill, but Leoric will be returning rather quickly, and the DK has essentially lost a majority of his health. So realistically, if that's what it took to avoid losing a keep or any major structures here, Athera walked away with a winning advantage there.
In the end of the day, it's 20 talents versus 20 talents. If they're on like one level lead or not doesn't really matter here anymore. It's all about the structures at this point, about the cooldowns on the heroics, the vision on the map. And in this case, they already lost the fort. Leoric is going to be back in a second. So yeah, this case, this is now more or less a reset. We're going to wait for the next few shrines to come up, and at that point it's all about the camps right now. Vision on the map, trying to get a bit of pressure on the lanes, and ideally of course catching one of your opponent's heroes out of position.
This is going to be a really scary fight. With Barrel being off cooldown, I like this decision. Okay, so they aren't going to respond to that. If Barrel was up, that chokehold is a very easy isolation area, but look at the flank. NaVi kind of hosting up there and nobody responding. And meanwhile, Alex, though, very out of position.
Wow, gets healed and is saved. That was a great ult here from Grand Paquete, going straight for the Ancestral. And Alex, now that Keck is off cooldown, he has to use it to save himself. At the same time, though, the rest of the team is still fighting. Sport Billy is trying to put the damage in with the Rain of Vengeance. Doesn't hit, though. Burrow used on the Haka. But again, the Wraith Walk being dropped on Athero's side, moving away from the team. They're still hoping for a kill against Sport Billy, and Vala has to be extremely careful now.
That was a weird target choice, I feel like, in that last team fight. They both sat in a situation where Dahaka and Vala are both out of position. Which one do you go for?
Especially with Vault down.
Yeah, they all decided to go with Dahaka rather than worrying about killing the Vala. I feel like Fnatic definitely could have capitalized there. There was very little things that Sport Billy would have been able to do. Once the rain came out, he essentially was just trapped in a corner and forced to make a very poor rotation. So positional disadvantage, or more mistake in my opinion, coming out from NaVi, and Fnatic not totally capitalizing. Slowly but surely, their decision making is kind of wavering, as you've said before.
One of the things that I really like about them at this point, though, they're going against the Haka at the bot line. A big fly in here from Falstad. Oh, and that's the tomb that they've been waiting for. Have fun with the burrow, my friend. That's not going to help you. There's the kill against the Haka. Great play here. Quacknick sees a chance. He risks it. He flies in. They see the enemy at the top. That was a great, great pick.
That was beyond great. So now it's at the time that the Dragon Knight's going to spawn. And worst case scenario is a NaVi in this situation, a DK is going to be the game, right? But you can usually avoid that when you have your global up. They killed the global.
Yeah.
It is actually worst case scenario here out for NaVi. They have a lot that they need to make happen here. And now patience on positioning, working as a 5-man group, not risking the same things that we saw them maybe risk during the last Gus actually being burnt as well. Being a little bit more patient is going to be crucial.
I like it, though, that they use Gus.
Yeah.
Better safe than sorry. If you lose a hero in this situation, the entire advantage is gone once again. And with a bit of patience, Breeze can just take over at the top, which he does now. So this situation is a good one for them. They also took, of course, a couple of camps here that still pushed the core and dropped the shield. And here comes Trimpy. He's going for it. And they're going to look for a kill here. They have the bot lane. They can move in. It's 7 seconds until the Haka is back. And, of course, NaVi is going to try for a flank at this point. But here comes the trap against Sport Billy, burning the cooldown on the Bolt of the Storm.
That Rain of Vengeance and that chokehold is going to be little value at this point in time. Fnatic needs to ignore these guys. This was a great job. This is all NaVi needs to be able to defend this game. They're choosing to fight very far away from the core. Oh, but the Great Palm coming into play.
And it's still not safe. There's the barrel load. Tries to escape, but Sport Billy in third on point. They're moving in, and at this point, we are basically just seeing the Dragon Knight saying, screw this, I am going core now.
We need to see the delays as long as possible coming out from Breeze. They can't let them mount up or do anything crazy. Val is actually getting a little bit of pressure here, but they are going for the core. Look at the Dragon Knight damaging it here. It is at 66%. Meanwhile, the core's at 65. Dragon coming into play. He W's instead of auto-attacking. He's auto-attacking a different hero at this point as well. Damage being lost at both fronts. It's falling down to 50% here, but everybody else is there. This is going to be it. Fnatic
jumping in, and Breeze is already on point. Smexy is there, but one hero is rushing away. He's trying to buy sometimes 6%. 3, 2, and once more Breeze. He's going for it. He takes the kill. It's a 2-0 victory, and Fnatic, they take down NaVi with a last-ditch attempt. Just a few seconds left on the Dragon Knight, and they take it.
That kick choice and the auto attack miss there. That almost cost him the game.
Yes, it did.
That was very, very risky coming out from him, losing the DPS in the core at that point.
I mean, at first we actually saw NaVi doing a great job delaying the entire attack up to the up when Shrimpy finally said, guys, what are we doing here? Let's just right-click that thing and drop it. So he moves in the slow Vala down a bit, but as you already said, already having wasted this much time, he then also goes for the kick and everything. That was a couple of very precious auto attacks that they lost there.
I mean, and I feel like, once again, just the criticism that you've kind of projected out to Fnatic very much was telling in that game even there. They took one of the greediest rotations they could through a shove, where the only place where I feel like you can expect NaVi to be, rather than rotating through the lane, which is far safer, they isolate the back line, say, okay, I'm going for your core. If they don't isolate the back line, then you go, okay, I'm still going for your core, but with more people. I feel like they just risked so much with the rotations for Fnatic at like 3 different points of that game.
I have to say, though, that I like their play a lot more than I did in the series that they played before, especially when we're talking about the games that they played against Dignitas. It's maybe not on a level where you said, okay, this is perfect decision-making in the late game, but it's a lot better than what they did in previous matches, where they took totally unnecessarily fights, just like a second or two before they hit their next heroic ability. And so in this case, definitely a couple of moments in the late game where they could have maybe played it a bit safer, but in overall, I feel much better than what they showed in the earlier hours of the day.
I agree. Their decision makings might, I would say, have equal gravity, I guess, on their success in each of the games, but definitely a little bit more subtle, and I guess like harder to definitely hone out, like what is the best rotation, things like that. So definitely showing improvement here for Fnatic, but not necessarily flawless.
Well, guys, we have a 2-0 victory for Fnatic in this case. And Dread, of course, pleasure casting with you again. But we are going to hear now what the analysts have to say about this series here. And, of course, we're also going to take a closer look at the group.
What a way to finish this last best of 3 of Group B. I mean, I can't believe how close that was towards the end. Fnatic brute forced their way into the base of NaVi.
Yeah, and but Falstad got taken out quickly by the warrior combination of NaVi. And then there was this moment where at the player tent, everyone was saying like, oh no, you know, Fnatic just needs to send their Dragon Knight to the core already. There's too much time being bought here. NaVi's doing a good job delaying. And then the Dragon Knight took the high road, which was the right thing to do. And then the other players just tried to stop them from actually defending in force. And it was super close ending, really thrilling.
Yeah, I mean, if the Dragon Knight had gone to core, maybe that would have been different. If it waited a bit more time, then Fnatic might not have won that. Like, it was very, very close. That's the last hero that actually ended the game. But in terms of actually the way the game played out, we kind of predicted it well. Just the barrel was able to isolate people, and that was the majority of Navi's killing potential. But overall, a lack of damage is a bit of an issue.
Yeah, the Rain of Vengeance often missed, and the Wandering Keg was the main initiation, and all of Fnatic had kind of dash moves or teleport or increased movement speed, which made kind of trying to get out of the Wandering Keg a bit more easier.
Yeah, so we've seen a lot of things that were going on here. And of course, congratulations to Fnatic for making it all the way to the playoffs. Talking about Fnatic, we're going to move on to Paul, who's going to be interviewing Quacknix from Fnatic. Let's hear what they have got to say.
Thank you very much, Kendrick. Congratulations. What a crazy game for you guys. Having to play these guys twice as well must have been so tough. I know that when you jumped up at the end, it was kind of like celebration. Explain what that means to you. Explain what it means to the rest of the team.
Yeah, like that's why we're here. Like, we're here to win, and like facing NaVi twice and also like facing Dignitas, it was really hard games. Like, every game was so hard, and yeah, it's, as everybody says, the group of death. So when we actually made it out of it, we're just so happy. Like, it doesn't matter if we performed bad or whatever, if we could have done it better. Like, we're still in this game, and we're gonna take down the finals as well.
I don't want to be too negative, but let's talk about some of the things, because it is more difficult playing out here. There were mistakes, there were things that went wrong, but perhaps you made less mistakes than NaVi. Is that fair?
I don't know, actually. I don't focus too much on like looking at all the mistakes that are made and just focus on my own gameplay, because like in scrims, I just watch what everybody does and like learn from it and try make sure my team improves from the mistakes and everything. But like here, it's not like that. Like, you don't actually, because like you don't have time to talk about those stuffs anyways, because you have so much more to think about in general. So it's just about making sure you perform the best and yeah, communicating and everything.
How much different is it playing out there under that kind of pressure?
I mean, I don't know, like, you're so nervous no matter what, because it's so much on the line. So there are some things that are just like, you don't want to take the risk, or you don't actually commit because it's more scary. Because if you fail it, like, you might have lost the game. But in a scrim, you just test your limits. And even if you fail, you're like, it doesn't matter. So yeah.
More pressure. So looking forward to tomorrow. You're on Championship Sunday now. Last 4 teams. It's 4 great teams in there. 3 very tough teams to beat. But What's the feeling amongst the Fnatic players now? Can you go the whole way? Can you make an upset now?
I think so for sure. Like we just really have to go back to the hotel, study hard, and like we know a lot about My Insanity because it's the team we scrim the most. But like in general, they have a really big hero pool, and so they can basically go into anything. But if we get the drafts we want and we play good, we get in the momentum and we scream loud, we're gonna beat them.
All right, well, best of luck tomorrow. Congratulations to Fnatic. They are through to the semi-finals. Let's send it back downstairs to Kendrick and find out what they made of Fnatic's win over NaVi.
Thank you very much, Red Eye. Yeah, I mean, Quacknix admitted a couple of wonky mistakes there by the end, but overall, I think Fnatic can be very happy with what they've achieved today. We're actually going to take a final look at the bracket. Excuse me, we're actually going to talk about the bracket here real quick. And is there something that surprised you, something that you found particularly cool today? Do you think Fnatic has what it takes to sort of make it in the playoffs as well? Or do you think they will have to sort of practice a little bit more?
Well, we only had 2 zeros today. That's one thing that I think stands out. We didn't have a single 2-1. Fnatic won 4-0 against NaVi, but lost against Dignitas 2-0. So they are definitely, without a doubt, the second place in this group.
Yeah.
And for that honor, they will face My Insanity, the first placer from the other, in the second semifinals tomorrow.
Let's actually mention the upcoming playoff matches real quick, the upcoming playoff series. It's going to be Dignitas versus Team Liquid, and it's going to be My Insanity versus Fnatic. Certainly a very interesting constellation. I really, really think that both teams, or all 4 teams, have what it takes to win the entire title. As you can see, which best of 3 will be particularly interesting to watch?
Well, it's going to be a best of 5.
Actually,
which is going to make it even more.
Very right.
It's going to make it ridiculously more interesting. And I think out of all of the teams, the extra potential 2 maps could favor My Insanity the most, because as Quacknix mentioned, has going to be Quacknix mentioned there, they have such a wide hero pool that they have a huge amount of potential on every single map.
By the way, something we should also mention is that we're going to kick things off tomorrow with Dignitas versus Team Liquid. A match that is very, very cool to observe because Team Liquid, they still need to prove themselves against a really, really big name. Because let's be honest, they had the slightly weaker group.
Yes, it seemed generally accepted that the Group A had maybe 2 favorites for the tournament, and Group B had 3 favorites.
Right.
But I mean, you can't split 5 and 2.5, 2.5. So either way, that's going to happen. And in the end, finally, yes, indeed, one team has to be the best one of all of them. So all that Shazam doesn't really matter that much. And I think actually, without speaking of the winning of the tournament or the winning of the finals, I think Team Liquid will actually be a big underdog here against Team Dignitas.
Do you agree on that, Tetcher?
I would say so. Dignitas have looked solid. Every single team has self-admitted that they may have played well, but they hadn't played perfect. They may have made silly mistakes. All of them are going to have the focus for that. But overall, Dignitas, even though they have admitted those mistakes, have looked exceptionally strong throughout this tournament. So Team Liquid definitely have their work cut out for them.
What about My Insanity versus Fnatic here? I mean, My Insanity hasn't really looked too shabby either.
Yeah, I actually, after seeing the games today and yesterday, I think My Insanity is the #1 favorite. I think Dignitas is #2.
Oh.
Fnatic 3 and Team Liquid 4. That is my personal ranking. So I think My Insanity is the team to beat. Fnatic will be strong.
Do you have any reasons for that?
Just from watching them play, the hero diversity, the way they executed things, the way that they played the map strategy, the way that they countered their opponents. I feel like the whole picture is there. The only thing that they need to do is to bring tournament form. And I mean, day 2, day 1, it's never the same as day 3. You've got your sleep, your food, everything to manage, your mentality. So I think if they bring their A game for this tournament, I think My Insanity is the #1 favorite.
Any adjustments to that order, to that ranking, Tetcher?
Well, I feel comfortable saying that I still would put Dignitas at #1 over My Insanity. I would put My Insanity and Fnatic as a tied 2. And then I would put Liquid as 3 and a wild card combined, because they have the potential of beating anyone here if they can bring everything that they have to the table. So that is my personal order. I'm so excited for the games, though. There's so much potential. You have first place from Katowice and second place from Katowice, both on opposite sides of the bracket, so you have potential rematch there. You have Fnatic said that they played a lot against My Insanity, so both of these teams are going to be used to each other and possibly bring some interesting stuff.
That is indeed the question. Are we going to see a rematch from the spring regionals here between Dignitas and My Insanity. It could definitely happen. Something that is going to happen for sure is that we're going to be back tomorrow with the playoffs, with the semifinals and the grand finals, just starting 1 hour later. So it's going to be 11:30 CEST. Make sure to tune in, everybody. It was a pleasure hosting this event for you, and we're going to be back tomorrow with more Heroes of the Storm. It was thank you very much for also staying with me here, Grubby and Tetcher. Hope you had a good time as well.
Absolutely.